Is it recording?
It is.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Gotta get the important stuff out of the way
Yeah.
first.
Exactly. I know. I debate whether or not I want to actually have an official start. So we might not. This might actually be the interview now.
Totally. I love it.
We'll do that because I don't know. I feel awkward like talking to the camera. I'm like, hey, so welcome. Thanks for watching my show. And then it all just starts awkwardly. So instead, I'm going to awkwardly talk about how weird that is. And
Just
we're just gonna
awkwardly
keep going.
intro.
Yeah.
I'm down.
So that's cool. So you're a twin.
We
People
could
know
just
that 'cause
intro
they're
for
watching.
you.
Do it. Yeah.
I'm Sandrene.
Yes. Hello.
Where do you look?
Hello, welcome. I know. Do you know the name of the show? I interviewed another friend of mine, and he's just like, "Wait, what are we doing?"
Show and talk,
right?
Yeah.
right?
Talking show.
Yeah, we're gonna show. We're gonna talk. I don't know what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a game, but I didn't have time to set it up.
Oh,
so
gosh.
we'll make it up later.
I love it.
Yeah. All right. So how are you doing?
Good. We've been preparing for a lot of things. We are going to LA pretty soon, which is going to be so much fun for us. Last time we were in LA, we filmed a video with a guy named Kurt Hugo Schneider, and he's an awesome big YouTuber. And from that video, one of the videos has pretty much 6 million views, and the other video has 1 million. So it's been amazing to see that grow, and we're just like, we need to be in LA more.
Yeah.
Because every time we're in LA, our subscribers double, and YouTube is a big thing for us. So our next trip out to LA is on. We leave May 12th, and we get back on the 23rd, and we're just there to network. Literally, it's just been like, hey, let's hang out, let's talk, let's grab coffee. What do the LA people do?
Yeah.
Whatever's hipster, you know.
Yeah.
So
We're not hipster.
Whatever
the people do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
Surf.
Nashville's way more hipster than LA.
Yes.
Actually, like
Oh,
I feel
totally.
more self-conscious about what I'm wearing when I'm in Nashville than I do when I'm in LA.
Oh yeah.
So you could wear anything now. I'd be,
Oh, that'd be like, sweet.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It's part of free the nipple. No, man.
But yeah, I just feel the whole hipster thing is kind of weird. I don't know, like, because it's like, yeah, there's good connotations to hipster and there's bad connotations to hipster.
Well, there's a difference between being well dressed, I think, like
in
being
style.
someone who's has style, and someone who is like hipster. Because I feel like the hipster person is like, only listens to vinyl and only go to barista parlor.
Yeah, it is. It's weird. I feel like I was part of the indie rock kid thing back in the early 2000s. Like I remember, I went to a John Mayer show and no one knew who he was. And
Seriously?
yeah, it was right after Room for Squares, and I was so excited about it. And I was working in a venue at that time, so he was playing there, and I had to be at the show. And everyone's just like, I have no idea what this is. And so I was telling all the interns, I'm like, you have to go.
You have to go.
Yeah, and it was amazing. It was fantastic. And then he blew up and kind of had his whole crazy phase and did other stuff, and now people know who he is. But yeah, it was just really nice at that time, and Ryan Adams and a whole bunch of other people. And back then, what's hipster now was just kind of the whole indie kid thing, and people were still pretty obnoxious about it. It was just kind of I like Death Cab for Cutie. But I don't know, it is weird. I was never that obnoxious person though.
Yeah.
I was kind of I like good music, and
That's
you're
crazy.
not listening to the same 5 songs on the radio. So it'll be interesting to see where things go now. Even with
I
Ed
see a John
Sheeran.
Mayer concert.
I haven't seen him since then, and this was at a tiny little 1,000-person club.
That's
so I feel
amazing.
anything now is his
I grew John Mayer is one of my biggest musical inspirations. So that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that he was not crazy at that time, so it was all an act. If it makes you feel any better,
He
about
was
liking him.
was not crazy at that
No,
time.
he was really nice and actually really nervous.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'd probably be if I was. He's so good though.
I know. Yeah, even at that time, he was still amazingly
Yeah, he's
talented.
probably nervous, but he's so good though.
Yes. So I have a confession to make.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of friends that are twins, and I'm only 85% certain who the two of you are, and I think it's because I don't know you very well. So part of the reason for doing the interview is just so that I can get to know you better, and then it'll be easier for me to tell you apart.
Well, Jordan has
Jordan loves this one.
Jordan loves this water, and I love the water. The funny thing about our personalities are the water is actually an interesting analogy.
Water.
Because for me, my water is almost full. I take things very slowly. And for Jordan, he goes all in.
Hang on.
I'm like, I'll slow down, I'm cautious, and
You have to pee here in a sec.
yeah. And Jordan's the one who dives usually headfirst into things. And so,
That's true.
if you see anyone diving headfirst into things,
probably
probably
me.
Jordan.
Yes, I can tell often, like, when you're talking about things that you're doing, I'm like, oh yes, I was right.
Yeah.
So very interesting. So being twins and being pastor kids and being musicians, like all of them seem to have stigmas that people
Yeah.
have that they automatically like
That's
think they know you, and you've got all three of them.
Oh, yeah.
So
It's definitely an interesting blend where you have all these different perceptions of what each should be, and most of them are like either extreme on both sides. So you're either the pastor's kid who hates God and is rebelling and running away, or you're the guy who never has or doesn't have any like normal clothes. Is always wearing a collared shirt, carrying the Bible, keeping his head down and like walking and like Bible thumping people. But I think for us in each category, we fit in the center of. Usually there's the crazy hipster musicians, or there's like the crazy pop musicians. We fit in the center of that. We fit in the center of being pastors' kids, being a little rebellious, but also knowing and believing in our faith and owning that.
Yeah.
And so,
And even as musicians, I think like, and throwing the whole pastor's kid is on top of that, because people just assume like, oh, you're a pastor's kid, you're doing Christian music. It's like, no, I'm not actually. So I think a little bit of it has been trying to figure out, like, you know, for other people, it's like they're trying to figure out who we are. First of all, the difference between us,
actually trying to figure
and then
out
who we are, and like what kind of music we do, because it's like you do like, it doesn't necessarily sound Christian, but you know, like you are Christian, so like where does that fit in? And so we've kind of walked this line of like, yes, we have a faith, like we believe in Jesus, but our music is just strictly for the general market, for everybody. So, and that's what we love doing.
Yeah.
So.
yeah, do you have a hard time in any of those trying to? I mean, you talked about it a little bit, but just like breaking that whole identity idea of trying to say, no, this is who I am.
Yes, it's definitely hard because so many people assume that. Like, we were on this red carpet one time for a show. We had a friend in, or a movie premiere actually, and we were just walking the red carpet, and like they just assume if you're in Nashville, you do either country or Christian, or like they hear about like that we're pastors' kids. It's definitely really hard to step into that and step through that without stepping on people's toes, because it's like, yeah, like we believe Jesus is our Savior, but it's like I don't believe that Jesus has to be sold. Like I don't think we necessarily have to put Jesus in every song in order for people to see Him. So for us, it's like we love doing music that we love, that we listen to on the radio. Some of our favorite songs are pop songs.
Yeah.
And
don't mention Jesus at all.
Yeah, but that does that mean they're bad songs? Like, and that's the hardest. That's the debate that we've had with some people. Just like, yeah, we're Christians, but we're not a Christian band.
Yeah.
And it's definitely really hard to break that mold, especially here in Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, I guess I do understand, but it seems like that's something that's never going to go away. Like, I remember back when I worked with people, and I would work with bands like Five Iron Frenzy that never really sang much about Jesus, and then bands like the Supertones where, like, they were all overly religious songs.
Yeah.
And I remember when Switchfoot did kind of the whole crossover thing, like when they were in a walk tour number and then started playing more secular stuff, like there was a lot of just kind of talk about that. And even back in the 70s, I guess, whenever like Larry Norman and Steve Tyler and Taylor and just a whole bunch of other people started doing things, like everyone seems to not be able to quite get it, that you can be a Christian and still play secular music and it's okay.
Well, and we've had this conversation a good amount of times with people just trying to define like who we are and stuff. And I think, there's been some, on both sides of the spectrum, like Christians like, oh no, we want our Jesus music. And like I get that, like to a degree, like that's cool, like, and that can be healthy, but at the same time I think people love having their black and whites so much that like, oh, it's gotta be this way or it's gotta be this way. And so figuring out that like, no, well, there, like the gray area is just as beautiful as the solid truth that's on both sides. And so I think we live and we walk in that gray area of just like, this is what we believe, but this is what we love, what we feel like God's called us to do, and what we feel like we love doing. So.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. So let's go back, as far back as you want. Just kind of get like a little bit of origin story of you guys, how you got to be here. Well,
it all started in the womb.
Yeah, did start there. Yeah. We're twins, so I mean that's really far back. But
that's really far.
We actually didn't plan on doing music at all until we were like maybe freshman, sophomore year of high school.
Sophomore year.
And we grew up playing sports. Sports is our like, it was our thing. Like, sports still comes easy. Like, learning things, playing football, going out and play soccer. We love it. We do it all the time. And it was just something that we loved growing up, and we thought we'd be NFL players. Like, that was our track. And gradually we just started kind of leaning away from sports and more into music. And it just, for Jordan, he says he...
Oh, yeah, I mean, for me, music started with Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
7th grade, my parents bought me Guitar Hero. Start on easy, then you move up to medium, then you get to hard, throw in the orange notes, then you get to expert.
And that's crazy.
And then it's crazy, so it's like, how much harder could real guitar be? Because I conquered this pretty easily.
Yeah.
It was a lot harder. It's not really that similar. But it helped me with, I guess, that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so started playing guitar in 8th grade.
Joined the chorus.
Yeah, joined the chorus.
He did. I didn't.
I got peer pressured into joining a chorus by my chorus teacher. But I'm glad it happened because it made me work on my voice. Yeah. Then sophomore year, I came home, tried to show him harmony, and we wrote a song out of the chords, the chopstick chords. Yeah, so... and then that's kind of how it began. That's
how it began. For me, I started playing drums a little bit, maybe a couple years after he started playing guitar. Because I had the same thing, like, I'll play guitar too, and I'm like, I hate this, it hurts my fingers. And so, I started learning to play drums, and it was, I loved it. So, when we wrote our first song, it was transitioning over to this, wow, we can express a feeling through music. And where I feel like we really identified was being able to express and give hope and do all these things that you couldn't really do through hitting somebody or catching a football. And that was where it really changed us, and our friends started to change as well. Like we had less sportsy friends and more musician friends
and more theater friends.
Yeah. And so it was an interesting time where everything was shifting, and like even we started doing acting and modeling, and like we went out and we got signed to an agency in LA, and that was our first time we went to LA, and so now it's just kind of come full circle.
Yeah,
with music, and it's been amazing, honestly, to be on that journey. And sometimes it's hard because it's like, yeah, we love playing sports, and like it's something I feel like we're really good at. And music sometimes is really frustrating, and especially writing songs and stuff like that. But I feel like we really found our identity in writing songs. And that's what helped me in particular, being able to write through pain, being able to write through even a great emotion, being in a great place, really strengthened our sense of like, oh, where should we go with this? And songwriting has definitely been a huge part of that.